I'm really glad that we have John Curl here tonight as our feature. He's been part of Sacred Grounds for a good long time now and has featured before and has a tremendous range in his voice. He is a poet, novelist, historian, translator, and editor, and has published 12 books of poetry as well as volumes of history, memoirs, and fiction. He's the author of Revolutionary Alchemy, Yoga Sutras of Fidel Castro, Ancient American Poets, Indigenous Peoples Day, and For All the People. He also has a novel, The Outlaws of Maroon. The most recent poetical work is Rainbow Weather, and that's from Vagabond. And according to Diane Donovan of the Midwest Book Review, she says of this work, it is a trailblazing blend of conservation and poetic reflection, surveying the intersection between these two worlds with an inspection of climate change and its impact on the planet. Now, if this sounds like exhilarating writing, it is. These are songs for the road ahead. She adds also the poet's interest is using the deconstructive threat to segue into constructive thinking.
Thank you so much, Dan. So I'm going to be reading from Rainbow Weather, which has just come out recently. And it's poems for environmental healing is what I call it. And today on International Women's Day, I'm going to dedicate this reading to all women struggling to liberate themselves and to liberate all people from oppression, and to our Earth Mother. Conjuring realignment. Here we are in this blind-sided alley of dying and living, in these rasping gasps of what they flatteringly call civilization. Lucky us, we've reached it in our lifetimes, hurtling off the vertiginous cliff of destiny. They've been desecrating our sweet world and abusing each other ever since the human psyche began. They're hopeless. So why bother? Why even bother to write this poem? Who cares about a poem in a time of civilization collapse? Lo, the circle is drawn around us. The candle is lit. The power of water enters inside. Let there be the illusion of time. Let up be up and up be down. Let down be down, let down be up. In this time of civilization collapse, unleash the powers in ancient sounds, in ancient words, ancient runes. Unleash the power in ancient spells, incantations, invocations, divinations, conjurations. Now is the ancient boiling point. Now, the ancient flashpoint of rebellion. Dark forces, be gone, out, return to darkness. Dark forces, gone. Lo, the circle is drawn around us. Leave our homes unharmed. Now is the dew point of realignment, of healing. Behold, the clouds part, the voices speak. This does not belong to you. This is our great-grandchildren's ocean. These are their forests, their homes, their streets, their food, their flowers. Dark forces, be gone. Out. Return to darkness. Let there be shining. Let there be sharing. Let there be luminescence. Let there be luminescence. Something wrong. Something is very wrong. The chemical smells, sick plants, dying birds and insects. It actually hasn't been very long, just a blink in geologic time, since we began transforming these wild, watery gardens of ourselves, the universe of our own bodies, into toxic dumps. Are we too far lost to retrace our steps, to find our way back? Although I don't know their names or their places on my family tree or on anyone's family tree, I am certain that somewhere in my past and in your past and in all of our pasts were people who knew how to live in better ways than these, who lived in good ways, who walked lovingly on the earth, who did not cause too much damage to other people or to other creatures or to our mother, and who left our world perhaps even a little better than they found it. It is to these ancestors that we need to turn for guidance, to find their lost path and follow it. Are we too far lost to retrace our steps, to find our way back? It actually hasn't been very long. Sick odors, strange birds, dying trees, just a blink in geologic time since we began transforming these gardens of ourselves, this wild, watery universe of our own bodies. Mirages. Remember when we hiked the Diablo foothills and dragged our weary boots up over what we thought was the last ridge to the top, only to discover it was just another false peak and the real summit still loomed above us. And when we drove across the Mojave, those shimmering pools of witch water flooding the desert highway ahead, really just images of the sky reflected in the thin layer of scorched air hovering above the torrid roadbed. Now, with distance and time, I have a cleaner angle and a better attitude about all that confusion and hurt. And I can see now that you were probably right after all. We were probably just chasing shadows, phantoms, mirages, optical illusions in the smoke and mists and fogs of battle. Sometimes it all just comes down to perspective. And sometimes you just can't win for losing. I remember watching an old movie called The Leopard with Burt Lancaster about the Italian Revolution of the 1800s and about how the old aristocracy survived by joining and taking over the revolution. It reminds me of that old joke that laws are written so what looks like a brick wall to a regular person looks like a triumphal arch to a corporate lawyer. Sometimes the search for a livable world can seem like dancing with a lover who lets you just near enough to almost touch her with your outstretched fingers, then dances away into the shadows and mists just out of reach. Yet, what can we do but follow her love song into those elusive mists over and over again until we make her ours? It's complicated. Maybe that's just how things work. Maybe loves and revolutions are not won and lost in bedrooms or halls of power after all, but in mirages distractions, optical delusions, tricks of perspective, in the devil's details, in the ambiguous spaces between words, in the warped mirrors of everyday life. What's wrong with this country? Open up again. You who've been so hurt, trust. Take the risk of being hurt again. Truth is painful, but when it doesn't kill you, it's healing. The many sordid traumas she keeps still hidden deep in her psyche beneath so many layers of misplaced shame, the whispered lies, the secret betrayals, abuses to her flesh, her spirit, her air, her water, her seagulls, her grass, her rocks, her trees, her wind, her soul. Only the betrayed can see it. Only the forlorn can feel it. Only the forsaken can understand it. That bitterness in her smile, that grief in her eyes. You've been there, haven't you? I know you haven't. I know you've been there. I can feel it in the spaces between your bones. You recognize her anguish in your own. Try to run, you can't run. Try to hide, you can't hide. You can't run, you can't hide from a crushed spirit. She didn't deserve this. She shrank into her fists, swore she'd never leave herself so vulnerable, so innocent, so open, so unconditional, swore she'd never be a victim for love again. America is suffering. America is grieving from a broken heart. Who broke it so many times in such cruel ways? How do you heal a country? How do you heal a country with a broken heart? A tree stands by a crossroads. Here in the city, every street is a crossroads, but out where houses are few, the crossroads is a place of power where the desperate go to pray, where on moonless nights spells are cast, lovers are stolen, people die suddenly for unknown causes. Just yesterday, that crossroads was a hub of endless migrants, millions on the move around the world, fleeing poverty and violence, people whose families had lived sustainably for generations, but whose beloved homelands have been made barely livable by what we pathetically call civilization. All are now just folks looking for shelter, for a home. An ancient tree stands at one corner of the crossroads, observing, watching. It's not our fault, and yet it is. We destabilize the world. The sign of the times is danger, forces unleashed that none can now control. The powerful and their minions stuff as much as they can grab into their bank balances and try to escape, thinking themselves safe behind thickest walls, but there's no place to hide in a broken mirror. And now this sudden cataclysm pandemic has shut all borders. On the crossroads is even more perilous than before. Uncounted millions stranded far from home, without work or income, easy prey for predators, human and viral. Meanwhile, their families back home surrender to despair, bleeding, shattered hopes and dreams. The ancient tree beside the crossroads watches them. Ragged women and girls, aged and ageless, boys, men, their shoes fall apart at the seams. Even the infants look exhausted. Shuddering families pause beneath me, laying down their burdens for a brief while. Then they rise wearily, stagger to the crossroads center, the core of power, the very point of convergence where, no matter how exhausted, they always pause and gaze in each direction. Prayers whisper through trembling lips. A tear rolls down a cheek, but most are beyond tears. Time is short and death lurks everywhere. They look longingly toward the burnt out paradise that once was home, take a quick glance over their shoulder, then sigh and carry on. And when they're gone, others take their place, and endless others after them. I stand here as witness on every moonless night when it is too dangerous to walk, and even the night birds and crickets are silent. An aura arises and encircles the crossroads. Only a few can see it. Only a few know it's there. It's always gone by first light, dissipated in the morning mist. Nothing remains but a shadow, a circle of protection for all travelers, all migrants, all refugees, all strangers who dare to step trembling into the point of convergence and pass through. Regime change. That rumbling in the distance, that shuddering in the air, just the wind maybe, or the shadows. But I don't think so. Something's coming. You can feel it. You can hear it. The flares in the sun, those tides on the beach, that trembling under our feet, the clock hands spinning round and round, newspapers blowing down and down, that night train, that freight train, 100 boxcars long, barreling toward us through the moonless desert night, down this God-forsaken dead-end street. What's in those boxcars, I wonder? What are they bringing where? Total devastation? The end of life as we know it? Or the simplest of all, the hardest to reach? Just the basics, please. The fundamentals. A sunny afternoon, picnic on a blanket, biting into a ripe peach, the greenness of the trees, the kids rolling in the weeds, homes to live in, healthy food to eat, schools, doctors, a little spending money, and time, precious time. At moments such as these, when epics end and begin, they say a crack opens between worlds, just for an instant, then quickly shuts again. Seize the instant. Regime change now. The Knight of Pentacles. The key is learning the craft, the discipline, the creative power in objects and words. Reading the golden talisman in your hand as you rest briefly along the dusty trail overlooking the gardens of toil. The rider on the crest of the hill contemplates the long road, watching both sun and rain in the distance, searching the horizon. Open the grimoire to the dog-eared page, understanding the power of the symbols and the fragility of it all is to change your mind, to transform the world. The art of the soil brings knowledge and maturity. Till the earth, mulch and water deeply the length and breadth of your small plot. Stand your ground when you need to. Seeds will sprout and grow with the sweat of your brow. And I'll finish the reading with the title poem of the collection called Rainbow Weather. Dueling with the devil in the eye of the hurricane, Venus in retrograde, Aries rising, dark spots cover the sun, predators without shame, nothing true under their darkness, nothing new under their guns, nothing to eat but dog's bane and wolf's bane, nothing to cast but blame, nothing can change without struggle and pain, yet nothing can stay the same. But those murmurs in the gales, gusting all around us, sing of something just beyond the storm. Rainbow weather's rolling in. I can smell it. I swear it. Rainbow weather is rolling in like dawn. Armies marching through the night. Monumental crimes and blunders. Scorched cliffs all around us. Centuries of rape and plunder. Bats flocking together. Centipedes abusing power. Jackals sniffing every crack for lovers in a secret bower. But those murmurs in the gales, gusting all around us, sing of something just beyond the storm. Rainbow weather's rolling in. I can smell it. I swear it. Rainbow weather's rolling in like dawn. Thank you.